Hi and welcome. Great to have you guys joining in today for our session to drive efficiency and innovation at scale with cloud platforms. I'm David. I'm part of the AWS Solutions architecture team here in Germany, and I'm supporting manufacturing customers. One of those customers is Vitesco Technologies, and I'm pretty happy to share the stage today with them. We have Markus Korn and Daniel Diaz here, who are both the respective leads of their platforms at Vitesco. And we're going to hear more from them in a second. Now, Vitesco Technologies is a pioneering company in the automotive sector who is mostly focused on sustainable mobility and electrification components. So that means today we are going to hear a bit about cars. So I hope we have some car fans in the audience. We're also going to hear about platforms, what they have to do with cars, platform engineering best practices, but more particularly also the unique challenges that Vitesco had in their journey to the cloud and how they use platforms to really drive cloud maturity, cloud adoption, and innovation throughout IT, but also throughout the business. Thank you. Now, we're going to stay for a little bit in the context of automotive. The concept of platforms itself is not something new, right? We've seen many industries where platforms have transformed entire businesses or industries. And if you look at building a car, right, why is that particularly hard? A car has lots of engineering efforts going into it. There's complex manufacturing processes. It's also high safety and regulatory requirements you have to adhere to, and now more important than ever, increasingly faster innovation cycles. And many OEMs and car makers, since already 20 years, use platforms. Right? So they build things like the drivetrain, the steering mechanism, the engines into something they call a platform, right? Really the heavy-duty engineering, which tends to be highly standardized, tends to be higher investment, and you could say it's also kind of undifferentiated, right? Because you as a customer, when you buy the car, you typically see the color, the chassis, infotainment system, right? And you typically see what the OEM puts on top of the platform, which is the head. Yeah? So this head means, this head is typically lower investment, right? It allows you also to be more diversified and also more differentiated. So it allows companies to build different kinds of models for different kind of customer segments and really tailor them towards their specific customers. One example here is, for example, Volkswagen, who are building the Audi A4 and the Lamborghini Euros basically on the same platform. And you can see, right, an Audi customer is quite different from a Lamborghini customer. So they're really driving innovation by using a standardized platform on top, on the base of that. And that analogy to automotive platforms also holds true for most parts when we look at platforms we build in IT and software. And there's one pretty great quote from Peter Gillard-Moss, who previously worked at ThoughtWorks, who encompasses most of the characteristics of platform engineering in one sentence. So he says platforms are means of centralizing expertise, so really the heavy-duty engineering under the hood, while at the same time decentralizing the innovation for any applications you build on top to the teams or to the customers that build on top of the platform. So you really leave the innovation to the people that know best what their customer wants. What is also important is that platforms are more than just a collection of commonly used components, right? They're typically centered around the entire experience that your customer or user has. So how well they are enabled on using the technology of that platform, how they leverage the community around that platform. And we're going to hear later on from Vitesco how they facilitate that. Now, what makes platforms really successful? So one of my colleagues, Gregor Hope, who's a senior principal evangelist from AWS, recently wrote a quite interesting book about platform strategy, so very much worth a read, but he defines the 3 E's of what makes a platform successful. And first of all, platforms enable. Platforms are intended to be low friction, right? They are not mandated, so if a platform makes your job as an engineer or as a user harder, then you probably shouldn't use the platform. Yeah, so they hide complexity with abstraction, but they're also not completely black boxes. Right? A user needs to understand, to some degree, what is under the hood in order to make best use of that platform. And a good platform also strikes a good balance between standardization and control against flexibility, right? Because if a platform is too rigid, imposes too much control, then your users might feel kind of caged into what they want to do. But at the same time, of course, you want to use the platform to accelerate your use cases on top with certain standardized patterns. Good platforms also evolve. Right? So there are two ways of how you could build a platform. Either you are Nostradamus and you know everything up front, what the user will want in the next 5 years, which is very unlikely, I would say. Or you start building maybe a minor version of that platform. You start rolling that out to your first users and you see how they react to it and start basically feeding your backlog with feedback from your users and start continuously improving that platform, which also only works if you run that platform in a product operating model. And finally, also platforms embrace. Yeah? So platforms very rarely exist in a kind of nirvana, right, where you own the entire technology stack from the bottom to all the way to the top. They usually build on base platforms. That base platform could be a collection of managed AWS services, for example, or you could also stack multiple platforms on top of each other. And if any one of you here in the audience is a fan of Tetris, we have a goodie for you later on, because Daniel is sharing something about platform Tetris, which basically comes back to this embrace pattern here. Now, why should you care about that? And especially, I mentioned at the beginning, right, we're going to tackle a bit about the cloud journey of Vitesco and what platform engineering and platforms meant for Vitesco in adopting the cloud. And now, if you come from a more traditional IT organization, right, you could say, well, we already have something kind of like a platform. We have an IT service. So maybe we have like a database service. You just need to open a ticket with us, takes you 2 weeks, and we get you a database. But there are a lot of reasons to think why IT services are very much the opposite of a platform. They tend to be they tend to be not very extensible. They tend to be high friction. They tend to be often quickly become a bottleneck because they're also not very well maintained over time. And a pattern that we've observed, also with customers becoming more mature in the cloud as they also build out more cloud skills, build out more expertise in adopting the cloud, we see that they almost naturally start leveraging platform best practices. So they start building platforms that share responsibility, that are more evolvable, that have a lot of the characteristics that I mentioned before. And as you get more advanced in the cloud, you also start building more consciously your teams around products or platforms as a product. Right? So really running the platform like a small internal startup where you have to get funding, where you have a product manager that takes feedback from the users, bringing that into the backlog, where you need to find your product market fit internally for your internal users. Right? And this really allows you to continuously evolve and innovate. And this is a very good point to hand it over to Markus, who will tell us a little bit more how Vitesco experienced that journey and share some exciting experiences around that. Markus.
Thank you, David. So we will talk about the first platform, the Cloud Foundation platform, which we use to transfer most of our workloads into AWS. And that platform becomes the base platform for all our cloud workloads. But first of all, some words about Vitesco Technologies. We are a global automotive supplier with 50 locations all around the globe. We have nearly 10 billion of sales and 35,000 employees. As David mentioned, we have a strong focus on electromobility and offer products like our high voltage axle drive, which integrates the electrical engine, inverter and reducer, battery management systems, which safeguards your battery cells, and non-powertrain products as well, like our door handle sensor. The company Vitesco Technologies was born out of Continental's powertrain division. And the spin-off from Continental in 2019 created a significant challenge, especially for the IT. So we had to separate more than 50 locations, 30,000 clients, nearly 100 SAP systems, a lot of servers and databases, and more than 300 central managed applications. But at this point in time, we didn't have a central data center. And in addition, the scope of the migration was not really clear from the beginning, because we had to look at each and every application of Continental's application portfolio and figure out, is it used by Vitesco? Then we have to migrate it. If it's just used by Vitesco, migrated it. If it's used by both companies, yeah, we have to create our own copy and do some separation on the data level. So it was clear from the beginning that we could not reach that kind of flexibility with a co-located data center. And that's why we decided cloud first. And to remove the burden of taking care about connectivity, basic security, cost management, and so on, we built our cloud enablement platform, the Vitesco Cloud Foundation. So we released our first version of Cloud Foundation in February 2020 and start immediately migrating applications. Due to the time pressure we had, so the fixed date for the spin-off, it was not possible to do it in the right way. Yeah? So no rethink or re-architecture was possible. So we had to do a lot of lift and shift migrations, and we ended up with a lot of commercial software off the shelf running on very classical infrastructure, like servers and databases. But after all, we did it. We transferred much more than 300 applications into the cloud within 18 months. And as you can see, also with every migration, also our cloud spend increased. So we had an average monthly spend increase of 20%, and that's why we started with day one, so our public listening, our optimization factory. And we had a look on each and every deployment and did some right-sizing activities. But in addition, also our platform involved and offers products to help the customer to save costs, like automatic start and stop of all systems in the cloud account. Very helpful for QA and dev systems. And with that, we achieved a monthly cost reduction of around about 24%. So what is the Cloud Foundation? The Cloud Foundation is somehow a layer in the shared responsibility model. So a new layer which is between AWS and the application owner. And this layer takes care about basic security in the cloud, transparent network connection from on-prem to the cloud, enterprise integrated user and role management, cost monitoring, and also cost optimizations. And with the help of our managed service provider, we are also able to offer managed resources in customer accounts. But as David mentioned, there is freedom for the account owners. They can also run the resources on their own. So overall, the platform approach removes the burden of managing all this task. Usually the application owner has to take care and handle it in a central and scalable way. So when a customer needs an account, comes with an account request, he could use our portal and customize his accounts. So he could choose, for example, the network blueprint. So does he need his own VPC or is a shared VPC enough? Or he could choose the enabled regions by choosing one of the 5 Cloud Foundation enabled AWS regions. Or he could choose optional blueprints to deploy. For example, our managed service provider support integration. The customer has to specify some metadata with his request. So like cost center, ServiceNow, application relation, or the responsible persons, or the stage of his application. And after a manual approval, and this is the only manual step we have in our account vending, after that approval, our account vending machine then trigger the account creation and roll out the optional and the mandatory blueprints to the newly created account. When the customer has already an account, he could also use our portal to request managed systems in his accounts. Those managed systems are based on building blocks, so infrastructure as a code, or to be more precisely, Vitesco-specific Terraform modules, which are ensuring our company-wide standards for running databases, servers, storage, and so on. The building blocks handle central patching, monitoring, and they also implement security best practices on resource level. And with the building blocks offered by the platform, we are removing the burden of operating system administration or database administration from the application owners and handle it centrally at scale. Beside the building blocks, we are also offering boilerplate code. Yeah. That boilerplate code could be used by the application owner to build more cloud-native applications, serverless applications. And this helps us to support and modernize our IT infrastructure. The central entry point to our platform is our self-made, self-developed Cloud Foundation portal, where the customer could request and manage accounts and also request resources in his account. The portal is also somehow a single pane of glass for the customers, because usually we create not only one account per application, we create 3, so 1 per stage. So it's important to provide the customer also metrics across accounts. And we show them metrics like the account costs for the application, the potential cost savings he could achieve, or our security score for all his accounts. And with the help of the security score, he would see how the security of the account evolves over time. And with our global search, the customer could search for resources across his accounts. Very useful if you want to figure out to which account an IP belongs to. Now let's have a more technical look on our account vending machine. So our portal is a View app running on AWS Fargate and talks to a backend API, which is an API gateway, private API gateway, with some Lambda proxies. The AWS Lambda functions uses DynamoDB to store the account metadata and the desired state of the accounts. And for every account create or every change, the Lambdas triggers our central step functions. And the step functions are always implementing the desired state, which is stored in the database, towards the account. The step function makes use of AWS Control Tower for account creation and the initial guardrails. And as soon as the account is created, it will use our Cloud Formation stack sets to roll out the customized blueprints into the account. The step function handles as well the relation between the platform infra accounts and the customer accounts, so things like shared VPC assignment or Route 53 rule sharing. But of course, a cloud account needs to be maintained. It's not fire and forget. So an account we provisioned 2 weeks ago should look exactly like an account we provisioned today. Therefore, we have our AWS code pipeline, which rolls out every update or every new version of our CloudFormation stack sets into the customer accounts. And because we know the stage of the application in that account, we do it also in a very safe way. So we first roll out into the dev accounts of the customer, then in QA, and last into prod. So where are we today? We have now nearly 1,000 AWS accounts managed by the platform. We have more than 1,500 servers and nearly 300 databases. And I'm very happy that also the customers which are using serverless technologies are increasing as well. So we have now much more than 3,000 serverless functions. The platform is also heavily used. So we have 500 application owners or developers which are working each month in our AWS accounts. And we have a very active community where we offer Q&A channels, we offer regular Ask Me Anything sessions, cloud cafes where we talk about trending topics or have a look at the one or the other AWS service in detail. And we run Vitesco internal AWS game days, which is always fun, but of course you learn a lot during these game days. Besides that, we are very open and transparent. So everything we do is internally open sourced. And some of the tools we developed are also externally open sourced. So if you are interested in, have a look at github.com, Vitesco Technologies organization. You will find some interesting stuff there. So great. We covered Cloud Foundation, the base platform for all our cloud accounts. But that's just the foundation. Let me hand over to Daniel to tell you more about the platforms we built on top.
Thank you, Markus. The Cloud Foundation is the baseline for almost anything cloud-first companies such as Vitesco does. But sometimes we need more than a cloud account to enable users and drive business value. So now we'll have a look how we can leverage from specialized platforms to reduce complexity and drive efficiency at scale. If you are a Spider-Man fan, you probably know this quote from Uncle Ben. With great power comes great responsibility. This is also true for cloud accounts. Having a cloud account is also great responsibility. And sometimes heroes need some support to control their power so they can do greater good. A common problem in tech is having too many processes and too many solutions. This can result into longer processes to get things done and a lot of solutions that are harder to maintain and operate. So in the next few slides, we'll show you how you can reduce complexity and how to solve those problems with a platform approach. Before we go into that and we talk about Vitesco Technologies, data and AI platforms, I will now first introduce you to the problem statement. And please just be aware, I used AI-generated image to introduce some personas that will explain a little bit more about these challenges that you'll have. So excuse me for the weird-looking pictures, and maybe I'll end with an extra finger or two. So first we have Klaus. He's a cloud DevOps engineer. So he loves infrastructure and architecture diagrams. He hates complex processes, and his favorite quote is, "Infrastructure as code is life." As you know, in the company, we have very complex and long processes to get data into the cloud. He decided, why not just make my own solution to get data into the cloud and let people share the data between them. So implemented a cloud data sharing solution so everyone could easily go there, get the cloud share, and share it with others. What is the problem? Now we have many shares that we don't know who have access to them. We don't have a data classification. And now we have another process and another problem. So now we have 101 processes. Next, we have Dave. He's a full-stack developer. He loves hackathons. And his favorite quote is, "Works on my machine." So last year, during the hackathon, he wanted to make a chatbot with GenAI. This was because in the company, he could not use public AI solutions with internal data. So he decided to implement his own chatbot that you could run locally and integrate with your own local data and then use AI safely. What was the problem? Many didn't know about this solution and also tried to solve the same problem. And now we have many chatbots implemented that also integrate with company data. Finally, we have Bessie. She is the marketing manager. And she loves presentations, she hates information silos, and her favorite quote is, "Give me solutions, not problems." She tried to use Dave's chatbot, but she was not able to set it up on her machine. Dave told her, well, you can easily get a cloud account and run a EC2 Linux machine and put the data there and use it. But she didn't have any experience with it and was not able to set up the machine or even upload the data to the machine if someone would set up the machine for her. So after some time trying out, can I put the data now into the cloud, she reached out to Klaus and asked, oh, can you help me with the cloud data sharing solution? And Dave then helped her out and set it up. Unfortunately, the chatbot was set up to work with local data, so could not integrate with the S3 data sets. So tired of waiting for a problem to be solved, she just reached out to a consulting company and purchased another proprietary chatbot. So now we have 1001 solutions and another chatbot. So as you can see, with this, now we have even more processes and more solutions. And as processes usually aim to create governance and security, if you have very complex processes or processes that take too long, people will work around them, which will actually have the opposite effect of what your process were there in the first place to solve, right? And if you also have too many limitations in your processes, that will also block innovation. And you want to be an enabler, not a bottleneck. On top of that, if you have many solutions, and you don't track them, it will also be hard to maintain. You might even end up with solutions that you are not even aware, unmaintained, unsecure. And you will always then start from scratch instead of evolving on what we will have, which is also a big problem for efficiency. So we started by talking about the cloud foundation. And as Marcus said, you have a very simple process to get a cloud account with only one approval step, and everything else is automated. This solves the problem of having a process for a cloud account. So next, we'll introduce the first piece of our platform Tetris on top of the cloud foundation, the data platform, which will then solve the close problem of getting a share in the cloud and collaborate with data with others. The data platform is a must-have for digitalization. And it provides AI and data solutions and analytical tools. At Vitesco, our data platform is tailored to our needs. We have Python with Jupyter notebooks or AI frameworks for deep learning. We have R with RStudio to work with data, or R Shiny for data visualization. We have NIME as a low-code data science solution. And we also have MATLAB, which is crucial for engineering in automotive. Regarding our data governance, we have a process that covers all data sets that we have in the data platform to ensure that all the data is correctly classified and all the processes are done according to the company requirements. So this also facilitates the process of having a data set, which is compliant, secure, and then it's also added to our catalog. And you can then search on our data platform for data sets that are part of our catalog, and you can develop on top of existing data products and build your own new data products or solutions by leveraging the existing data instead of starting again from scratch. So you might be wondering why I'm adding now here a GenAI platform on top of the data platform, which already has AI capabilities. So last year, when we were analyzing what do we need to enable our company to use generative AI at scale, we quickly realized that it will not fit into the existing data platform team size. So then we decided that we will need to break it down and still leverage from the existing solutions, so from the Cloud Foundation, from the data platform, and we built this new platform on top. So it could abstract the data management, data sharing capabilities, and have that taken care by the data platform, so that the GenAI platform could focus on the core of its use case, the AI development. And just like Jeff Bezos, we don't want to build teams that are larger than you can feed by 2 pizzas. So it always makes sense that you scale things to the right size and break topics down and leverage from existing solutions. So as you can see here, the GenAI platform focuses on having a chatbot, an AI knowledge base, a use case onboarding, and deployment of AI solutions, while leveraging from the data platform storage, data management, and data sharing capabilities. On top of that, it's also built over the Cloud Foundation, which makes it multi-account strategy very easy to handle. So if Klaus, Dave, and Bessie were at our company, very likely we would have Klaus working on the data platform to support with the data sharing capabilities. Then we'll have Dave either working on the GenAI platform, further developing the chatbot and the AI knowledge base, or even as a customer of the GenAI platform and developing new AI solutions and contributing to our AI catalog. And for Bessie, that's the only problem now that we still have to solve, right? So we already saw how the data platform and how the GenAI platform could mitigate the processes and simplify the solutions and keep developing on top. But now, how will then a business user leverage from this? So Bessie could very easily go to the data platform, create a new data set using our web portal, for example, and or even request access to an existing data set that would already be there. Then she could go to the chatbot and select one of the data sets she has access to, and the GenAI platform will do a request on her behalf to the data platform to get access to the data and to receive notifications whenever the data changes, so that the GenAI platform can keep the AI knowledge base up to date to ensure that she always gets the answers based on the latest information. So with this, you can see that now she can just simply use the chatbot in a user-friendly way, get insights from our own data, and that's all automated for her, and she doesn't need to take care about how do I take care of this integration, how do I get my data in, and so on. And on top of that, if you are a developer, everything we do here, it's also available through APIs and SDKs. So we are not just focusing on business users to use the platform, but as well on developers who are building solutions so that they can also use our APIs or our SDK and develop on top their own solutions. So I hope this explanation helps you to understand how do we build platforms and how do we leverage from each other, and also how do we build additional applications on top of those platforms to provide additional value. On the data platform, this GenAI use case is just one piece of our platform Tetris that is on top of and we have more than 30 different business use cases developed on the top of our data platform. So with that, we'll look what are the metrics that we can use to measure the success of a platform. So as I just said, so in terms of use cases, we have more than 30 business use cases. We are able to reduce the costs per data set by around about 60% year after year by using economy of scales. And as you saw in the example, to use the chatbot and get access to data sets, that could be done in less than 1 minute with just a couple of clicks of a button. While if you don't have this level of automation in place, and you have one application that is not set up in an automated way to provide the integration, usually how do you do this process? You create a ticket, you wait a day or two, someone checks the ticket, they will maybe implement it themselves or run some scripts to set up the integration, and then you will have the integration in place and you can use it. So as you can see here, we are reducing for things that can be done in less than 1 minute instead of a day or two. Finally, we have the scaling, right? And this is also crucial for the economy of scales. At the moment, we have more than 1,000 employees using our data platform. And we have hundreds of new users adopting the platform year after year. And that's also crucial to build a community around and help people to collaborate and avoid always doing everything from scratch. So you should always foster the collaboration. So what are the key takeaways? You should be an enabler, not a bottleneck. You should develop self-service and automate everything you do so you can drive innovation decentralized and at scale. You should not reinvent the wheel, right? I think I said this enough times. Just leverage from what you have, build on top, keep extending it. Don't waste time on problems that were already solved. And also build communities around your platform to increase your visibility and also to foster collaboration. So this will increase not just your platform visibility, but as well about the use cases that are implemented there so that people can collaborate and come up with new solutions. And always continuously evolve and scale your platform. So, take the advantage of having a platform to release things at scale. So when you implement something, it will be available to everyone, not just to a specific use case or user. And with that, I will hand over back to David, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much, Markus, for sharing that. And I'm personally very much looking forward to seeing more cool stuff you guys build. And also, thanks to you guys for listening in. That concludes our session. And if you have any more questions, we'll be here for the next 15 minutes until the next session starts. So feel free to come up if you want to learn more in detail. Thank you.